What do you do when a prospect goes radio silent on you? I'm Mark Hunter, the Sales Center. First thing you do is do not panic. You want to reach back out to them by way of a phone call or an email and state to them, word for word, exactly what they shared with you the first time you spoke with them on the phone or the previous time you spoke with them, and ask them a follow-up question. Here's why this is such a powerful technique. One, you are now playing back to them what they shared with you. This says to them that you listened. Two, it says that you value what they had to say. And you know what? Many times they will sit there and reach back out to you right away by way of an email or a phone call and share with you more insight. This is the number one way to re-engage a prospect or customer that has gone radio silent. Let me walk through that again, and then I'm going to share with you some more tips and ideas. And if you're liking this, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. And I got more content down below in the description. But here's what I'm talking about. You cannot sit there and try to re-engage a prospect by sending them information. No, that all you're doing is giving them in. They can get that off the internet. What you want to be doing is engaging them with questions. Every time I follow up with a prospect, I start off by asking them a question, whether or not this is in a voicemail or an email or even a text message. And I want to ask them a question on something they shared with me. This is absolutely key because it now creates a common link, because it says that it's a two-way conversation and not a one-way conversation. How often should I be sitting there sending messages to people? I'm going to vary this based on what they're buying, who I'm selling it to, and the importance of it. Let me walk through those three things here real quickly for you. One, the lower the level the individual in a company, the more frequently I'm going to reach back out to them. In other words, if I'm calling a buying agent, a person who's at the front desk or something like that, I may reach out to them almost every day or every other day. If, however, I'm calling a CEO, I'm going to reach out to them probably every 2 weeks. Two, is it a commodity or a capital expenditure? If it's a commodity item that they're buying frequently, well, guess what? I'm going to reach back out because you know what? Chances are they're making purchases every day and they're buying it from a competitor. Well, I've got to get back into their face. If, however, it's a capital expenditure, I'm going to spread that out a little further. Now, what does that mean? That might mean every 2 weeks or maybe every 3 weeks. The third piece is, what is the critical need that they shared with you during that initial conversation? If what they shared with you was something of absolute critical need, then guess what? It accelerates your frequency of contact. What does all this mean? It means that you're never going to have the exact same cadence for every prospect. It's going to vary. And what you're doing is you're saying, I want to be targeting you, the prospect, when you want to hear from me. Now, this does not mean, oh, I bugged them too many times. I've already tried to call them 4 times, or I don't want to leave them a voicemail. No, you do. You do have to leave them a voicemail, and you do owe it to them to be reaching out to them. Now, why do you owe it to them? Because you know you can help them. Because in that initial phone call, that initial conversation, they express something. And this, again, is what I'm going to come back to and use. You shared with me that you needed to have this in place by the end of the year. Walk me through a little bit the steps you're going to use to implement this. You see what I did? I took something that a prospect shared with me and I played it back to them and asked a question on it. I love doing this by way of voicemail. Now, here's why I love doing this by way of voicemail. One, it's personal. It's very personal to them. And two, I'm allowing my voice and my personality to come through a little more. And C, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to get a phone call. Now, I'm going to use email also. I know I'm going to use email also, but I'm not going to over inundate them with emails. Now, what do I mean over inundate? I can't send you 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 emails and have you not respond to me on any one of them. And think for a moment that your spam filter is not picking me up and throwing me into the junk folder, you see. So this is why I rely more heavily on voicemail. Now, what are some other tactics that I can be using? What are some other strategies to engage that prospect that goes radio silent? Who is the other person involved? One of the questions that I love asking when I'm talking to a prospect for the initial time, the first time, is I'm saying, hey, who else is involved? Who else should be? Who else? And you see what I'm doing? I'm getting other names. And I'm not going to hesitate to be reaching out to them also. People say, whoa, you can't do that because you're going around somebody. Why? I'm not doing any business with them anyway. I owe it to them. I owe it to their company to get involved with them. So I'm going to go ahead and reach out. And I'm going to reach out to them not by saying, hey, bye. No, I'm going to reach out to them by asking them a question, engaging them. You see, what I want to do is I want to have as many circles of contact going on in an organization. And this is the way I get the biggest circle of all, my primary prospect, to be re-engaged with. Because now my name is coming up, my conversation's coming up, things are coming up in other conversations. It's just one of the many other strategies that I use to create value. Now, should you ever decide to back off? No. Even when the prospect sits there and says, oh, we'll get back to you. No need to touch base with us until you hear. No. You see, if all I was doing was calling and saying, hey, I'm checking in, hey, I'm following up, then that would be the case. But no, I'm bringing you new value. So what I may do then is I'm going to send you, hey, here's some information. Here's a couple points. And I got a question on it. Here's some new insights. You see what I'm doing is I'm bringing them new information. Never allow a prospect when they say, we'll reach back out to you in a few months. Don't allow that to be the kiss of death. You owe it to them to bring new insights. Hey, down below in the description is an ebook I want you to grab on prospecting. Grab that, okay? Grab that. And I want you to subscribe to the channel because every week I'm posting new tips and new strategies, new ideas as to how to prospect better. Hey, I'm Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter. This is all from the book, High Profit Prospecting, Great Selling.